and welcome to another installment of TED Excellence, the show in which I find out what is secret, what is safe, and what is science. And I come to you live from my Corona bunker on the moon with Dogcat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Thursday, Terraforming Thursday. Yes, we return once again to the wonderful world of off-brand TED Talks for enjoyment and education. Edgejoyment or something. Hope you're all doing well this evening. Let me get some hellos out of the way first, because there's a little bit of a preamble to tonight's show, and I don't want to cut in too much of the hellos with that. So who's here with me on this beautiful Thursday evening? Raziel, hello. John Kelly, hello. Jaeger Pony, hello. Kiever Dam, hello. Zeke Weiss, hello. Mike R, hello. Swirl Blue, hello. Attack Alpaca, hello. Deco, hello. Bridget, hello. Pie Guy 07, hello. Jamie Melquist, hello. Shell D, hello. Who else is here as the chat jumps in front of me? No Name, hello. Zero the Hero 909, hello. And It's a Llama, hello. Is that everybody? That's everybody I see currently. If I missed you, it's only because my aim was off. Let me get the GoFundMes posted to the top of the chat box. So please take a look at those when you have a chance for our friend Shady Grin, Angry Illinoisian, and his kitten. Their friends, and family could use your help if you have a buck or two to spare. So tonight's episode is a little different than previous in that I went explicitly looking for a presentation on this subject. This wasn't an instance where I was caught by a title of a newly posted video or something. You see, about a week and a half, thereabouts, I had a brief Twitter spat. What is... Well, Sister Scribe, being the supportive sister that she is, didn't call me in the middle of the show this time. Instead, she texted me to have a good show. And so I will respond, thank you, in my slow typing. I was just about to do my spiel. I practiced this spiel. And she had to go and interrupt it. How dare she? Anyway, yes. All right. So the backstory to this. About a week ago, I was on Twitter and someone posted a post that was posted that simply said, "Indigenous knowledge is science." And they repeated this line about 8 times in a block. And my slightly pithy, but also legitimately curious question was, such as? Because if you have category 1, which is science, and you have category 2, which is indigenous knowledge, whatever that constitutes, I was wondering what part or what elements of indigenous knowledge should be considered as science. Anyway, I won't go into all the details. It's really not worth talking about, but that's where this whole genesis of an idea came from. And so I was wondering, because I'd heard that phrase before, indigenous knowledge is science, or indigenous ways of knowing. That video I did long ago on my channel in the archives of a college professor in Canada was talking about indigenous ways of knowing and how they should be taken more seriously to some extent or something. And so I thought, I wonder if the font of all knowledge, TEDx, has a presentation on indigenous knowledge being accepted as science. And lo and behold, you can see by the title up in the corner, just a couple of years ago, there was one exactly on point. The case to recognize indigenous knowledge as science. You can't get much clearer than that. So I was glad to find that, because that means that there's somebody that's actually put some real thought into this and has a presentation to give us. So that's how we got here. But I want to provide you a quick baseline as to what I'm thinking going into this. And that comes down to a little phrase that some of you may recognize as intelligent design. For those of you that are unaware, I'm going to give you a very, very short version of this. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, this is where the controversy hit its height. A concept called intelligent design was attempted to be inserted into public school curriculum as science, except that intelligent design was very thinly veiled biblical creationism, dressed up to seem like a scientific theory. when it wasn't. It was an attempt to do an end run around the separation of church and state and start effectively teaching religion in public schools. There was court cases on this. There's been documentaries on it. Anyway, that is my first reflexive thought when I think about the declaration, statement, argument, whatever, of indigenous knowledge should be considered science, is that someone is trying to convince people that faith and mythology, folklore, ritual should be in the same category as empirically tested and retested scientific theories and facts. That's my thought. Now, will our speaker convince me otherwise or say something else? I don't know. That's why we're here. That's why I'm here. And who else is here with me? Joshua Montgomery, hello. Tyrannus Alexandrius Invictus Sol. You lengthened your name. It's so girthy. A big time, hello. The Useless Cook, hello. Who else is here? Johnny Blaze, hello. I don't lose my voice in the middle of this. That would be terrible. I think that's everybody I see. If I missed you, Spud Gun, hello. Didn't already say. But, all right, so that's all the preamble. Bingo card tonight is Bingo Card A. Bingo card links are in the description. If you would like to participate in the poll each week that decides which bingo card will be the bingo card, follow me on Twitter. You can see my little Twitter handle there on the screen, or just scribe_light. And yeah, be there for that. But with all that being said, let's get into it. This one clocks in at relatively short for a TEDx at just over 10 minutes. So it shouldn't take us too long to go through, but you never know. I'll start out with a few seconds for a sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear it, and then we will proceed.
Gola mo yan.
I believe this is in English. If it's not, this is going to be a very short show. You guys hear that all right? Dax Orion, hello. McClellan LOL, hello. You're all a bunch of bigots, eat the bugs. Oh, okay. Roger Reynolds, hello. Let's see. Muy bien. Sounds good, says Mike R. Live in a pod, says McClellan. I don't want to be a pod person, although Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I've talked about that before. I won't go into it again. I'm a little obsessive about Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Okay, here we go.
Gala, garagol ambring. Gala garagol ambring bor. Ngay, damon ngorangan. Ngay jibanan ngan gaju. I've acknowledged the people of this land, past and present, and this sacred land that we now find ourselves.
A land acknowledgement. Okay. Well, we are in Sydney, Australia, last I checked on the location of this presentation. So, yes, I suppose that's true.
And I thank them for allowing me the opportunity to come here and speak about my country and my people.
You had to get permission from somebody to go up on the stage in the TEDx and talk? I mean, aside from the people at TEDx, I guess. They allowed you? Okay, I don't know.
It's always protocol when you're an Indigenous person traveling to someone else's boundary. And so to begin, I grew up in two different worlds.
Mm-hmm.
My father was a really traditional cultural man. He lived and breathed his cultural identity. My mother, on the other hand, was raised in a Catholic mission. She was raised with the values of middle-class white Australia.
Yeah, well, as the great scholar and philosopher M.C. Scatcat and his dancing partner Paula Abdul taught us, opposites attract.
And I guess for me, I had an opportunity to experience and to learn about life from these two different worlds.
Okay.
For the first few years of my life, my siblings and I, only with our parents, lived on a small isolated island off the remote coast of the Kimberleys, called Ungalgun.
All right, well, real quick before we get further into that, thank you, Tyr Alexander. Otherwise, to be fair, there are wisdom and folktales and myth. Well, yes, and that's something that I want to at least acknowledge, speaking of acknowledgments. The initiation of our scientific understanding of the world and reality, etc., can all be traced back to, at one point or another, myth, folklore, etc. If a culture thinks that lightning in the sky is Thor striking his hammer, well, they're not correct, but it is an attempt at trying to understand how the world works, and that's effectively, the basis of the scientific method. Is testing and retesting things. There's plenty of things that have been discovered and not wholly understood at the time that we understand now. Like if I'm walking through a field and I suddenly have a headache, I can remember that my elders or my parents told me that if I can find a particular plant and chew on its bark, it'll make my headache go away. Right? So that's indigenous knowledge. Now, at that time, would I understand why it makes my headache go away? Would I think that a friendly spirit is doing it for me, etc.? That kind of thing. So sure, there is some truth in indigenous knowledge leading to science. My confusion is what is currently considered indigenous knowledge that should be considered science? Or is it an argument about credit, where credit is due or something? That's where I'm not quite clear on what the argument is. So that's what I'm trying to find out here.
In this island, I learned to understand the unique symbiotic relationship I, as a human being, had with the natural world, purely because our survival depended on it. Our lifestyle and our choices weren't influenced by politics. It wasn't influenced by economics. It was influenced by nature.
I don't know if you can avoid politics and economics just being human beings of one sort or another. But, okay.
The tides, the seasons, the weather.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started to appreciate this really fundamental concept, is that we can't have one without the other. We all need each other to depend on one another. And so when it came time for my education, my parents made a decision to move into Broome. I was then sent to an all-boys private school in Perth, where I was the only Indigenous student amongst 2,000 non-Indigenous children.
Okay, well, I've been ignoring the bingo card for a second, listening to our speaker. Let's go to the bingo card real quick. Collectivize his own demographic. I think that he has now done this, talking about being Indigenous person. So I'm going to circle that one. Let's see, systemic institutional. I'm sure we'll get there. Sales pitch for product or service, not yet. Childhood or family anecdote, yes. We have a childhood and family anecdote. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Has he said diversity? Maybe. I'm trying to remember now. Somebody check me in the chat. Plays victim, not yet. Microaggressions, unconscious bias, not yet. Privilege, no, I don't think so. Contradicts own point or argument, not sure what it is yet. Patriarchy, no. Weightless example, not yet. Wage gap. He's talked about economics, but he hasn't specified a wage gap yet. Free space, I will circle free space because, well, it's free. Feminism, no. Marginalized, marginalization. I think that's implied, but I'm going to leave it for the time being. A list, not yet. White supremacy. He's talked about the difference between Aboriginal and white populations, etc., but he hasn't gotten to like a supremacy argument yet. Technically, we'll see. Word salad, not yet. Self-vilification or wretchedness, no. Argumentative non sequitur, not yet. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase, no. Mind reading assumes motives, not yet. Benevolent condescension, not that I can tell. Anecdote that probably never happened, I believe is family anecdote so far. I don't have any reason to think otherwise. And leaves out vital context, not yet. So far I've circled on the board, collectivize his own demographic, childhood or family anecdote, and free space. On the fence with a couple others, depending on where he takes the conversation, or I should say speech, but let's go.
And it was there that I really started to face my challenges that were going to obviously present itself throughout my lifetime.
Okay.
Challenges around misunderstandings and misinterpretations about who I am as an Indigenous person and the value that my culture actually has a part of the fabrication of this country.
Uh-huh. You're not your culture. You're an individual. That's always, I know that might sound like, very dismissive way of thinking, but I get itchy about someone identifying themselves culturally or whittling themselves down to a demographic. I'd rather know who you are. Your culture can be expressed in one way or another between you and someone else who is even in your same family. Who are you? You are not a culture. You are an individual. You might express elements of culture, but like I say. Jaeger Pony, thank you so much. I say we repatriate the free space to the native Bingonians tonight. How very generous of you, I guess. Bingonians? Oh, boy. I don't know what to do with that. All right.
And so coming from such a beautiful, natural, untouched, unspoiled area of the planet, I was able to witness the impacts of capitalism.
Oh.
The impacts of consumption. Extraction.
Yeah.
Greed.
How much do those shoes cost you? All right, so your island is perfect, and the rest of Australia is just a depraved wasteland. Okay.
And I could come to this understanding in my life that I need to do something about this.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, what are you going to do to cure Australia of its capitalism and greed?
Because the Kimbleys was not only important to me or my family or my tribe, but somehow I feel that the Kimbleys is going to be important for all of us.
We're 3 minutes into a 10-minute presentation, and I'm still waiting to hear why indigenous knowledge should be considered science, or what that means. Again, I don't know exactly what the argument is, because so far it hasn't been articulated to me in a way that makes any sense. You got less than 7 minutes.
And so I started to learn, I guess, how different people interpreted what is it that they call knowledge.
How different people interpreted what they call knowledge. Okay. I mean, I'm not a scientist. Let me preamble everything else before we proceed. I am not a scientist. So if I say anything that is completely off base when it comes to either, descriptions of the scientific method or anything else, that's just me being a dumb English major. But what is knowledge? It's knowing a thing or thinking you know a thing, right? Like, I know plenty of movie trivia. Does that knowledge equate to science? No, I don't think so. That's my knowledge. But okay, how do you find other people interpreting knowledge?
Western science tends to refer to indigenous knowledge as traditional ecological knowledge.
If you say so, I'll have to take your word for it.
And that's a really great interpretation. Take my hat off to whoever came up with that.
Something tells me you're being slightly condescending, but I can understand. Snarky's fine.
But for me, I refer to it as indigenous science.
Why do you add the qualifier indigenous? Why not just call it science? But okay.
Because it is a foundation of knowledge that was developed through the same principles as Western knowledge.
Yes, observation, testing things, replication. Yeah, these things can occur in the absence of a laboratory. To the extent that you can, conduct them in a laboratory, it's probably limited. But sure, like I said before, there's a bark that if I chew on it, it'll help with my headache. This is knowledge. Discovering that this thing does this, has this effect on the human body, and replicating it, that is more or less part of the scientific process. It's testing, retesting, replication, and having a theory, etc. So sure, here's the thing. Science is a process. It's not a thing. It is a protocol, right? It is a methodology. So knowledge by itself is not science. Science is a process. It's like macrame, right? Macrame is a process by which several different things can be produced, right? So is that where the disconnect is here?
Observation,
yes.
Experimentation,
yes.
analysis.
Yes. Yeah, that's science. It's not indigenous science. That's just science. Why give it a qualifier?
And so when you look at those aspects of how that knowledge was created, sounds like science to me.
It depends on what we're talking about and to the extent to which you went down the road with any particular subject. Yes, science is a process. Am I off base here? I mean, seriously, everybody in chat, I'm not being facetious. Like I said, I am not a scientist. I never took chemistry, biology to any extent. I think the last science class I took was a meteorology elective in like community college or something. So, am I right here? Science is a process. It doesn't need any other qualifier, indigenous science or something else. Either you're following the protocols of science in some way, shape, or form, or you're not. Right? Let me know.
And so, I feel.
No, don't tell me how you feel. If we're talking about science, it's not about feelings.
That we as a nation are still growing in regards to how we bring these two knowledges together.
Knowledge and science are two different things. This is... I feel like I'm going to have an aneurysm here or something. Not a bad one, but a little one. Thank you, Johnny Hellcat. This goes back to that tweet. What a mess that was. Exactly. Yeah, that's what brought me here. That little Twitter exchange we had. You were involved in that, right? I don't remember who the person was. They eventually blocked me because obviously I'm a racist for asking questions. But McClellan, LOL, you are correct. This coming from a physicist and a geologist. Right. And hello, Ebony Williams. Who else is here that I've missed? Scanner Daffley, hello. If I missed anybody else, I apologize. But yes, these two knowledges together. Well, here's the thing. I guess my question to our speaker would be the same I had for the guy on Twitter. What is something that you consider to be indigenous knowledge that you think is not considered science or a part of science, let's say, that should be? Now, is he going to give us an example?
And I recognize that there are researchers and scientists all over the country that really appreciate the value that indigenous knowledge can have in regards to sustainable management practices, in regards to sustainable social architecture.
Such as what? I feel like I'm going to end up in the same trap as I did with the guy on Twitter. Can you give me an active example of what you're talking about? Something that makes some kind of sense. I think the guy on Twitter said something like crop rotation. And like crop rotation, that's not some like dismissed idea or something. That's been a part of human history since forever. It's part of agricultural science. But that was their example as to some element of indigenous knowledge that should be science. I'm like, what?
In regards to what political and governance responsibility should look like.
Please don't tell me that you want to return Australia to tribalism.
And for me, I think there's an incredible opportunity in that as a young Indigenous man. Because we all are now facing a fundamental threat, which is climate change.
Give me an example of an indigenous knowledge that you think is not or is not considered to be a part of science that should be. You talk about these two things colliding or coming together or whatever. Okay, give me something to work with. I'm gonna be circling leaves out vital context, like vital context, pretty quick here.
Nobody knows enough about it. Nobody knows the implications.
Nobody knows enough about climate change or the implications. There's more to that statement, yes.
But I can refer to my mob that has witnessed for thousands of years.
Uh-huh. Nobody knows.
Floods, droughts, ice ages.
Floods, droughts, and ice ages. Yeah, those have been going on a long, long time. You know, there was I remember there was like this very famous one, like a two of every animal on an ark kind of thing. Um, yeah, floods and droughts, ice ages. Uh huh.
And so the knowledge that was collected and developed was then in order to adapt to those changes, in order to become resilient to those sort of changes, was passed on and embedded in my indigenous people's cultural practices.
So your cultural practices will solve climate change? What? I'm getting ready to circle word salad.
In their management practices, in their social systems, we hear this term songlines. It's all there, baby.
What are you talking? Okay, I'm circling word salad. I don't even know. I have a distinct feeling we're not actually going to get what the title promised us, which is disappointing. As a circling word salad, I'm also getting ready to circle argumentative non sequitur, because bringing up climate change and then saying that floods and droughts and ice ages have happened doesn't mean anything. Or weightless example, I'm not quite sure. I still keep thinking there's got to be a better way to divide those two squares, or find a way to combine them into one that makes the most sense, but I'm not quite sure yet.
And I think now we're at a really important time, because one thing to understand about the Kimberley region is 94% of the region is indigenous owned. It's subject to native title, which is a significant investment on behalf of indigenous people. So we now see that as a valuable opportunity to use this knowledge.
What knowledge?
To creating long-term solutions that not only benefit us and not only protect the principles and values that are important to us, but it gives an opportunity to extend that onto everybody.
What knowledge are you talking about? And long-term solution to what? To climate change? To politics, social management, economic? What are you talking about? Yeah, thank you, Pecoraro, the driving ape man. Maybe he thinks he is Steven Seagal's character in Fire Down Below. Oh, God. Fire Down Below. Oh, man, Steven Seagal. What a legend. You know, he was a police officer. I'm a police officer. I'm a cop. I'm in the reserves. I taught everybody what they know about gunplay. Steven Seagal. My favorite Steven Seagal movie is probably Above the Law. It's either Above the Law or Out for Justice. Although, I don't know, trying to think. Yeah, Under Siege is pretty good. Fire Down Below. Oh, man. Okay, are you going to tell us anything? You got 3.5 minutes left. In 3.5 minutes, I don't have any hope you're going to tell us anything substantive, Irate Bear.
And this concept of separatism about the indigenous, non-indigenous.
Yeah, the one that you started off this entire talk highlighting.
When you start to look at the reality and roll back the time of evolution, 3,000 years ago, we were all indigenous from somewhere.
Then why do you continue to separate? You're the one making the distinction between your people and decadent, capitalist, white Australia. Okay.
And so that instinct, that common ground about our indigenous makeup is in all of us.
What?
And we can connect on that level.
What? Okay. I'm circling leaves out vital context. I'm circling argumentative non sequitur. And I'm also circling weightless example. He's run the gamut through all of those in the last minute and a half, 2 minutes, in various ways. So I'm just, yeah.
We need to seriously appreciate and integrate Indigenous knowledge as part of mainstream operating processes.
Such as?
Not only in conservation and land management, it has to be in so many other industries.
What would you change about conservation or land management that is exclusively an Indigenous knowledge? What secrets do you currently possess that would solve these problems? And why aren't you at least mentioning them?
Other aspects of our life.
Like?
And the only reason why I say that is because this is a system of management.
System. I'll take system for systemic institutional. Circling that on the board. Let me back up a little bit.
And the only reason why I say that is because this is a system of management that has existed for 60,000 years.
What is this? What? Your tribal system of management? So, I mean, I can only assume you want to roll back Australian culture into a tribalist society?
And incredibly, in Australia, it still exists.
What? Tribal societies? Yeah, on most continents of the planet, those exist. Either formally or informally. What?
In certain parts of this country, including the Kimberleys.
Yeah, we know. You told us. Where are you going with this? Dude, I feel like, once again, I legitimately and honestly go out to try to find a presentation whose title makes a promise to me, and I've been duped, it feels like.
And so I think, there's a really great opportunity here for science and Indigenous knowledge to create a real force to be reckoned with when it comes to stabilizing our planet.
Stabilizing our planet. Okay. Oh, man. TEDx, why? Thank you, Rico's Rough Breakfast Tacos. Come on, you breakfast tacos want to live forever? Rico's. Oh, man. Yeah, I love that movie. I love that movie as a kid. So far departed from the book it was based on. But man, that movie is so good. So if you guys haven't seen Starship Troopers, by all means, see it. It's one of those like last movies that like did social satire right in a film. That and RoboCop. But and man, you'll never see Casper Van Dien in a better light. Although when they did, I think it was Starship Troopers 3, whichever one where Casper Van Dien came back, it was still pretty shoddy for a sort of direct-to-video sequel, but it was certainly better than Starship Troopers 2. That stuck. And then the animated series, I think it was just called Roughnecks. That was actually pretty good. That I remember. That was pretty good. Anyway, sorry, I'm reminiscing because our speaker's not keeping my attention.
When it comes to stabilizing our existence as Homo sapiens.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think you can have one without the other.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. If our planet is not there, it's very difficult to stabilize our existence as Homo sapiens. I'll give you that. Although you can have one without the other, because here's the thing. The Earth isn't going anywhere. All the climate change in the world can occur, and all of the people can die off, and the planet will still be here, and it will find a way to stabilize itself. It'll take a while, but it'll get there. The planet's fine. It's not going nowhere. Our habitat may change, yes. And until the sun explodes into a red giant or some other disaster occurs, the planet's not going nowhere. So yeah, one can exist without the other. In fact, one did exist and has existed for a very long time without the other. So, yeah.
and they will both complement one another. If we be serious about integrating that knowledge as part of mainstream awareness.
What knowledge? I know I'm a broken record. I'm going to keep asking it because he keeps teasing it, but he won't tell us.
And practice. I've dedicated the last 20 years of my life as an Indigenous educator
to not educating anybody on the very subject you've dedicated your life to on a stage where you have a captive audience? Okay.
Because I genuinely believe that the solution lies with all of us.
The solution to what? Climate change? Capitalism? Stabilizing the entire planet?
And capitalism. Oh,
jeez. Oh man, you hate that capitalism. Oh man, dang that capitalism. Man, did you pay for that suit? Who do you think's paying for that stage? Do you draw a salary from your teaching job? I mean, I don't know. Do you save money? Do you put your money in a bank by any chance? Are you looking for any percentage return on an investment somewhere by any chance? I don't know. I'm just asking. But okay, let me back up a little bit. Give us that capitalism again.
Solution lies with all of us. And capitalism. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. That dang capitalism. That pesky capitalism.
Which is driven by politics and economics.
Yeah. Only capitalism, everyone. Only capitalism is driven by politics and economics. There is no other economic system on the planet that is driven by politics and capitalism is driven by economics, you say? What? You do this for a living, huh?
It's killing us.
It is? Capitalism is killing us. Oh, okay. Well, tell me about all the success stories with the other systems. I guess it depends. What are you recommending in the alternative? I can guess, since you're advocating for a sort of tribal, I guess, system, a communal system, I suppose. I couldn't guess what possibly you might be advocating for, but tell us, what should we be doing? What should we be doing? Thank you, Pepper Jack. What we should be doing? No, they both work. Pepper Jack, I think I gave you more Jack than I did Pepper tonight.
And what we really need to do...
Was that an applause line? Okay.
Is make a really strong decision and shift in our minds about what are we going to do with the legacy we leave behind.
What are you talking? This is nothing but pablum. This is just babble now. You're not even saying anything. I am both irritated and apologetic. Irritated because I specifically went to find a talk on this subject, and the title made me a promise. This wasn't some kind of one-off, oh, there's a weird title, which I've done before, and those can be fun. I was honestly trying to learn something today. And you have failed me, TEDx. Or at least our speaker.
And that's a really important concept. Because legacy is embedded in our culture. It is the epitome of who we are, is what we leave behind.
Thank you, Frank Hubbard IV. True communism has never been tried, though. I know, right? Every other attempt, they're doing it wrong. Millions of people dying, starvation, wars, internal strife. All that stuff was just, they did it wrong. They're doing it wrong. But he hasn't said communism. Like I say, that just for clarity's sake, I'm making a leap of logic, but I don't think I have to jump that far.
And so if you really would like some sort of reference or a guideline,
that's what I was here for.
into what a positive legacy may seem like in the next 100 years?
That's not what I was here for.
I genuinely believe the answer lies with indigenous knowledge and Western science coming together and educating everybody about what are the most important values to us as human beings. I'm really lucky to be able to stand here and share this story on
You know why you're lucky to be able to stand here and share the story? Capitalism.
behalf of all of my people that are so isolated and remote, and give them a voice of hope. Hope that with this world really wants change, and hope that this world is going to achieve that change. Gorna Muyan, thank you. I'm Albert Wiggin.
I don't know that I have anything to say that I haven't already said. That was decidedly disappointing. Monumentally disappointing. The title lied to me. I wanted to actually find something that was educational, and I got TEDx. In fact, that was so short, I'm inclined to do a second one. What do you guys think about that? A double feature? Let's at least do the bingo card first, as much as there is to do, all things considered. So let me save that here, refresh here, and we'll go over it. Sales pitch for product or service. No, I mean, he was selling against capitalism, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. He never said the word, so I'm not inclined to. Plays victim. His animosity towards this terrible capitalist society he has to interact with. I'm gonna circle that one just for the heck of it. Microaggressions, unconscious bias. No, I never brought those up. At least not that I can think of. Privilege. I mean, well, there's the implication, obviously, that Western science, or there's certain knowledges that have the privilege. Maybe I'm stretching too much. I don't want to stretch too much. You guys tell me. Contradicts own point or argument. What was his argument? He never really clarified what the heck he was talking about. Not even a single example, except for what floods and droughts, but that had nothing to do with, or the tides or something. All of these things have been studied in science for generations now. I don't know. Patriarchy, no. Wage gap. Does capitalism equate to a wage gap? Economics, I don't know. Feminism, no. Marginalization. Obviously, indigenous knowledge is being marginalized away from accepted science. So that I think that's not too far a stretch. A list. He never did get a formal list. He didn't say like 1, 2, 3, 4 steps or something. White supremacy. I mean, you could derive something like that, but it's a bit extreme to say that it was ever brought up explicitly, or even in large part some racial conflict. He talked about his culture, but I don't know. I'll take arguments. Self-vilification or wretchedness. In no way did he self-vilify or wretchedness himself. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase. No, I don't believe so. Mind reading assumes motives. Yeah, like somehow science is going to reject a cure for climate change or something, or if there was something, like, I don't know. Benevolent condescension, yeah. By just saying things but not clarifying, and then and capitalism. Oh, that capitalism. You know, this terrible Australia with its capitalism and greed. Anecdote that probably never happened. I didn't hear any anecdotes that sounded too good to be true or anything like that. So anyway, that's where I have the card at right now. If you have arguments for squares to be circled, let me know in the chat. And I think I might do a double feature here. Another relatively short TEDx that I did grab the other day. Maybe we'll do that one too in a second. So you guys tell me if you'd be interested in a double feature. Where do I do the poll? I can put a poll on here, right? How do I do that? There it is. There's a button. There's a button that says create poll. Okay. Ask a question. Should I do a double feature tonight? Yes or no? And ask my community. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, that should be popping up nowish if it hasn't already. So if you think I should do a double feature tonight, just for reference sake, the other video I'm looking at is under 9 minutes. It's like 8 minutes and some change or something. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, arguments for squares to be circled. Bridget. Sales pitch against capitalism. Not for anything, just against capitalism. Oh, now that's a creative use. And you know what? I accept it. I'm feeling a little very generous tonight, I suppose. But that's decent. That's a sales pitch against it. Okay, legit. Let's see. Roger Reynolds. He never said what the indigenous knowledge was. Yes, left out vital context. By all means, it just never said. Never said. Pygo7. He mentions mom being middle class and had the privilege of understanding both views, if that counts. Did he say privilege? The word literally? Can I get a verification on that? If he said the word literally, I just missed it. Then we got ourselves a bingo. So somebody double check me on that. Is that true? Let's see. And Jeanette E. Hellis is here. Hello, Jeanette. And Johnny Blaze again. Yes, hello. Mick Zemzem. Hello. Cannibalistic Wizard contradicts own point. As far as I know, native science, or in his case, indigenous science, becomes science once it is proven true. Or should we do rain dances, sacrifice people to appease the gods, or commit infest? And that's the thing I don't understand. Without an active example, I don't know what he's talking about. Because like I said, yes, observing something, testing something, replicating something, those are steps in the scientific method. So certainly, there are things that indigenous people, long before Western science was developed, discovered and understood because of effectively the scientific method. That doesn't not discount them just because they originated with indigenous peoples. So I don't know what he's talking about until he tells us, and he hasn't. But your argument is well taken. And contradicts own point or argument. Because he described how they were science, and it is science, so why would no one think it is science? Or what? Anyway, there you go. So thank you, Cannibalistic Wizard. Did he say privilege? Did he say the word? Zeke Weiss says, I believe he did. McClellan says, yes. Okay. Well then, you know what? I'll trust you guys. I'm pretty sure he probably did. Did he say, I have the privilege of knowing? Yeah, I believe he did. Okay, I'm going to stop dithering over it. He did say it, or at least strongly implied it, which is enough for me at this stage of the game. So with that, if you can believe it.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Right?
Yeah!
We have our first and likely only bingo for this TEDx. But that being the case, let's quickly move in to round 2. Because I don't see why not. Let me get this set up here. It'll take a second. I gotta mess around with the tabs and everything. Sorry, guys. Live TV and also impromptu second act. So we got one bingo. As for bingo cards for this next one, tell you what, I'm just going to recycle the one that I have. All right, so we're still on bingo card A. We're going to use A for both presentations. And now let me, can I share this effectively without screwing everything up? I guess we'll find out. Let's see what happens when I do this. Aha, perfect. Okay, so just a note. It does say TEDx Youth, but I did verify that the speaker is an adult teacher or something, so we're not going to be looking at a high school kid here. So, what is this one about? Well, this is called The Importance of Showing Up Authentically. Oh boy, can you wait can you wait for showing up authentically? You know, when I show up, I'm a complete liar most of the time. But anyway, so yeah, this clocks in at just under 9 minutes. Let's just begin. Oh, one thing though, I haven't had a chance to. If the audio is lousy, I haven't had a chance to clean it up. If it is lousy, I might just call it here. But I guess we'll find out together. So here we go.
Angelo, that was a very appreciated birthday shout out. So thank you.
Is there any video to this?
I'd like to start by telling you guys a story about a little interaction or experience I had this past February. So for those that don't know, I'm on the indoor track team at Dover Sherman High School.
Oh, I thought it was a teacher. Oh, how did I get that wrong? Hold on. Maybe I misread something. Because usually when if I see a TEDx youth thing, I always try to check and make sure in the description that I'm, sorry guys, I just want to make sure here real quick. What did it say? Born. Oh, I must have misread this. I apologize, guys. Okay, well, he's a high school senior. I'll see what he has to say. If it was junior high or something, I'd definitely turn it off. But all right, just so you know, I don't usually try to dunk on kids or anything. But here we go. I have to hit the right button.
Long jumper, triple jumper, sprinter, and this was the TVL championship at the Reggie Lewis Center. So the TVL is basically, it's the culmination of all the surrounding towns. So Bellingham, Norton, Medway, and then I think there's 11 in total. So this was the final. It was the last hour, the showdown, as they say.
You know, if you leave the red circle carpet in a TEDx, you effectively, bowed out of the match. I don't know if you know that. It's the sumo wrestler rule of TEDx.
And so I was competing in the long jump. And for those that don't know, the Reggie Lewis Center it's very chaotic. It's a 200-meter track in the middle of Roxbury, Massachusetts, and it is just mayhem. People bustling everywhere. And I always get pretty nervous before I compete. Just the anticipation of it all, I don't know, it just gets to me. And I was also specifically nervous today because I had pulled my hamstring 2 weeks prior in a dual meet against Millis. So,
you're losing me, dude. Getting boring.
So the pressure was on. And I remember I walked into the Reggie Lewis Center with my hood on and my sweatpants, and I felt the sweat go down my back. I was petrified for some reason. And I sat on the bleachers, which are these big wooden bleachers, with my teammates, and my coach said that this was going to be the last event of the day, the boys' long jump. So I had to wait the entire time before I competed.
I'm having more of an experience of tension watching him go back and forth off the carpet than I am about his story so far. Sorry.
Made the anticipation build even more. But I remember the unique thing about today was a good friend of mine, Walker Adams. I think he's in the audience somewhere. So Walker, you can feel free to give a shout out at any time. He didn't actually compete on the team, but he was a friend of mine that I had made on the outdoor season of last year. And Walker is, how do I describe Walker? Authentic. He's funny, but also personable. And
authentic and funny, but also personable. Yeah, this is like a high school kid giving a book report. I won't deny it. Oh boy, I know how to pick him, don't I?
Confident, all combined into this beautiful man. And on this specific day, I think you showed up in like a Hawaiian t-shirt and khaki shorts, and it was about 28 degrees outside. So that gave me a good laugh, eased the nerves a little bit. But anyway, getting back to the gist of it, I remember seeing him walk in, and I remember immediately feeling a little bit of the nervousness kind of subside.
Ebony Williams asks, are we using the same card? Yes, we're using the same card. Card A, although I'm just mesmerized by this mundane setup for whatever we're going to. I'm sure this entire introduction will be part of a square or two eventually.
And he came up to me, and he could tell I wasn't, my usual self. I'm very talkative and easygoing, but before track meets, I tend to get very in my own head. Yes. And the way Walker works is he gets everyone involved from all the other towns. So
could you stand still? It is very distracting. I know he's not going to, but man.
He was, jousting the Medfield kids and making fun of these people. And I was just in it, just laughing. And by the time it was actually time for me to compete, I remember a lot of the nervousness had subsided, and I was back to my usual authentic self.
Dude, if you get nervous before a match, that's not inauthentic. Is that what you define authentic self as being in control? As being, what, not afflicted with something that makes you feel off your game? Is that your definition of authentic? Okay.
And that day, without going into too much detail, I was...
Yeah. Pardon the last 3 minutes of minutia, but I'm not going to get into too much detail. Like, dude. Oh, Lord.
I was able to jump the farthest I've ever done by 9 inches. I did well against the other teammates or, towns.
Yeah.
And I think I owe it to Walker's authenticity.
What does that mean?
The moral here is that authenticity is so infectious.
What? What's like an STD or something? Like some kind of fungus you get in the locker room? What are you talking about?
When you are yourself, you bring others out and give them the permission to shine their lights.
Are they Friday night lights?
But with authenticity, it's hard to be yourself. It's easier said than done.
What?
And for me personally, I've always kind of had this weird part of my life that has been hard to be open about. I was at a young age, I was diagnosed as being legally blind, and it hasn't really stopped me from doing my, I'm on the track team, I play guitar, I've been in plays, but it has given me a unique perspective in the sense that I still have vision where I can get around, but I don't have the vision where I can read print. I have to read Braille. So growing up, I often found like I was stuck in the middle a little bit.
Is your name Malcolm by any chance?
So if you guys actually, let me give you just a little hands-on demonstration of what I see so you can get a better perspective. If you take your left hand and cover your left eye completely like this, and then take your right hand and do a little toilet paper tube and go like that. And then imagine that you're looking through a very chlorinated pool. So that little window right here is how I see all of you beautiful people in the world. But
okay. I don't even know what to say. I'm going to go to the bingo card just to sort of cleanse my mental palate for a second. Collectivize his own demographic. Not technically, I guess. Systemic institution, no. Sales pitch for product or service, no. Childhood or family anecdote. He's what, a senior? Is he still technically a child? Is his track meet a childhood anecdote? I don't know. Diversity, equity, inclusion, no. Plays victim, no. Microaggressions and conscious bias, no. Privilege, no. Contradicts own point or argument. I don't even know what the argument is yet. We're halfway through this thing. I don't even know. Patriarchy, no. Weightless example. The track meet, I don't know what the track meet had anything to do with anything yet. I'm circling that one. Also circling free space. Wage gap, no. Feminism, no. Marginalization, not yet. List, no. White supremacy, no. Word salad, yes. Just the entire track meet saga, just nonsense. Self-vilification or wretchedness, no. Argumentative non sequitur, I don't know yet. Maybe, probably. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase, no. Mind reading assumes motives, no. Benevolent condescension, no. Anecdote that probably never happened, not yet. Leaves out vital context. I'm still waiting for the argument. Define authenticity in your world, because so far I've derived one definition, but it doesn't seem to fit your other mentionings of it.
But in this moment that this story I'll tell you now is I felt so inauthentic with my visual impairment. I was in economics class my junior year. And the way it worked was I was the only junior in a class full of seniors.
I'll take that as marginalization. I know it's a reach, but I don't really care at this point.
And I use this Braille note, so it's about the size, if you could picture like an iPad, and it has a Braille display on the bottom.
Yes.
So I should have done that. Anyway, it's really loud when you type on it, and it's kind of, people think it's fascinating, but it draws a lot of attention towards me. And, being a junior in high school, attention isn't really something you need or want. But
You obviously didn't know some of the juniors I knew in high school.
But I remember sitting there, it was the first day of school, and I was so nervous to use this Braille note because the people that were in this class, while they were accepting, they didn't know my story. So I remember I came up with shaky hands, and I placed my Braille note on the desk. And I will admit, those first 2 weeks of school were really nerve-wracking. I didn't know if I was getting judged or looked at, and I probably was, but maybe it's beauty. The beauty is I couldn't see them, so I guess, what you can't see doesn't exist.
Right. Okay. Well, it was your junior year. You were younger then than you are now. I'll take that as a childhood or family anecdote.
No, but anyway, I was really nervous to do this. But my mom always told me that in times of insecurity or anxiety, it's better just to own it and to take that uncomfortable first step into the unknown. And I think by doing this, it gave me, the first 2 weeks, while uncomfortable, it gave permission to my classmates to be more comfortable around me and understand that I was here to learn as much as they were.
You ever, just rhetorically asking our speaker, you ever feel like maybe you think the world revolves around you a bit too much? Maybe a smidge?
It's in a different fashion. But like anything, judgment is always going to exist. You're never going to eliminate judgment. That would be, I wish I could do that, but that's just, it's not possible.
Okay, circling mind reading assumes motives of his classmates.
So here, another story. I feel like I'm telling a story today. It's nice.
Okay, I like this guy. He's innocent. That's a good word that comes to mind. But man, not a professional speaker. I guess I've been spoiled by even some of the worst TEDx's that I've seen in the past. At least the speakers were somewhat polished. I can appreciate the rough and tumble of it here a little bit.
This is an Indian proverb that my dad actually told me. It goes that there was a small ancient village in India.
Oh, is this indigenous knowledge by any chance?
Yeah, and there were 5 blind men. God, out of the blind, I keep bringing stuff up. No, there was 5 blind men, and they were treated like kings. They were paraded around. They were kind, compassionate, and they were treated as these men of honor and hierarchy. And what ended up happening was they always wanted to know what an elephant looked like, because the queen of this specific community or village always rode around on an elephant. And they thought that an elephant would be small and petite because the queen was very dainty, and they thought that it was a strong creature, but not one of the magnitude that people made it out to be. But then again, sometimes they thought it would be big and monstrous, because in the stories that's what it always said. So as a testament, I guess, to the king's kindness, the community brought an elephant into the center of the village and instructed the blind men to touch a part of the elephant and guess what the creature was.
Okay. And did they say the queen?
And I should also say, they didn't know it was an elephant. This was a complete mystery. And the first blind man, he touched the tail of the elephant and thought it was a snake. And then the next elephant touched, I believe it was the trunk, and thought it was a turtle shell with the hard calcified outside.
He touched the trunk and thought it was a turtle shell? What? Admittedly, it's been a long time since I've been near an elephant. I had one grab a bag of peanuts out of my hands at the circus one time, but I don't think the trunk... That elephant must have had some kind of psoriasis or something if his trunk felt like a turtle shell.
Now, I'm not going to say the other 3, but none of them got it right. None of them got that it was an elephant. Now, the thing is, as we constantly move through our lives, we'll be constantly judged, and people won't see us for our true selves. But really, we are the elephant. We don't change. It's just people throw their judgments upon us.
Well, speak for yourself. I've changed quite a bit over the course of time. I hope to continue to change, hopefully for the better. But it's also a matter of not worrying about what other people think necessarily. Maybe you're not. Maybe as you grow up, you will learn elsewise. I don't know.
And to
cameraman.
To provide another example of this kind of judgment that I thought of is we're taught manners as a young people.
Yes.
We're taught to say the right thing and ask a question. But in reality, we still face judgment even if we follow these societal versions of perfection. So it seems that getting rid of judgment is inadequate, but rather connecting on an internal level is more probable.
What?
So to end this speech with a quote that I really like.
Okay, here's the question though. Content-wise, even if structurally it's all over the place, is this technically any worse than some of the TEDx's we've seen in the past?
Like it's by Ed Milet, he's a professional speaker, TEDx speaker. He says that the quality of our lives is the quality of the questions that we ask ourselves. So for me personally, I find it's hard to go home at night and just ask yourself, like, what makes me unique? What makes me different? Because I don't know, it's so foreign and unnatural. But if we can analyze the situations in our lives and the people and ask ourselves, are these the people that I want to surround myself with, or the experiences I want to have, we're more likely to connect on a deeper level with ourselves. And
our authentic selves?
I think in terms of connecting and being authentic, it's about looking internally and not getting the external views of other people and finding confidence internally without the external world's opinion weighing on you. So that's it. That's a wrap. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I look forward to meeting all you guys out there. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, 2 reasons I don't do TEDx Youth. All right. Well, there you go. I'm glad I didn't decide to make that a primary choice for the show. Good gravy. What the heck was that? Okay. Well, let me see here. Yeah, I'll bring up the bingo card because I guess that's where we're at. Yeah, okay. 1 second here, guys. Okay, well, for this second feature, I'm just batting 1,000 tonight. All right, okay. Collectivize his own demographic. I don't know that he ever did. Systemic institutional. He was talking about college or a high school. That's an institution. So sure. Why not? Sure, why not? Sales pitch for product or service? No. Diversity, equity, inclusion. I mean, he was looking to be included in class, I guess. I don't know. Something like that, maybe. Plays victim. He didn't play victim so much. I mean, it's talking about trying to fit in high school and stuff. That's just common. So I didn't really play victim. I can believe it, you know. Microaggressions, unconscious bias. Well, he talked about like the judgments of other people and so on and so forth. So sure, I'll give him that one. Privilege, not really. Contradicts own point or argument. I don't even know what his argument was. Authenticity, what? Huh? Anyway, patriarchy, no. Wage gap, no. Feminism, no. A list, not really. White supremacy, no. Self-vilification or wretchedness, no. Argumentative non sequitur, everything. I mean, just lots of quotes and things and stuff and the elephant and attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase. No. Benevolent condescension. Nah, he wasn't. I didn't get any of that from him. Anecdote that probably never happened. No. Leaves out vital context. Yes, his entire point. The entire point of his talk was not present in the talk. Oh boy! Thank you, Poker Peers. Tricor on Encore. Tricor. That sounds like a transformer or something. Data Wasteland says hi, Scribbles. Hi, Data Wasteland. Yeah, so that's what I have for this card on round 2. If you have any arguments for squares yet to be circled, put them in the chat. And then I guess I'll wrap up a little early tonight because, man, this. I don't know. Two strikes at the bat, so to speak. 2 strikes at the. Okay, Pepperjack, you're making my brain go goofy. But I might as well finish you off. So there you go. Let's see. Nothing Burger says it's long. Yeah, I know. Oh god, a third one. Do I have another short TEDx? No, not that one. Oh. Okay. I do have another one that's short. Anybody have any arguments for any more squares to be circled? Otherwise, I'll do a third one. What the heck? It's not a special night or anything, but man, that first one really disappointed me. I was really disappointed. That did not make me happy. Let's see. No. Okay. All right. Well, we'll just shoot the works, as it were. Let's go for a third one. What you say? What do you say? What do you say? What do you say? What do you say? All right. Let me get that on there. And, get this here. And get that there. And yeah. Okay. So this one is called The Color of Privilege, a Shade Clearer. Again, I haven't done anything to the sound, so if the sound stinks, then, well, I might call it here. Let's see, but it only comes in at just under 8 minutes. So, The Color of Privilege. Let's go. Belonging for the public good. Oh, boy.
So,
oh no!
3 years ago, I had the opportunity to do a TED Talk on this stage for.
You guys hear that? Okay. Like I said, I'd have a chance to I'll try to turn down the background music here a bit, if that'll help. This guy sounds really blunted. Here, let's. I can't turn that up anymore, can I? No. Okay. Yeah. Let's give it a minute. Maybe the sound will improve.
For TEDx Bowling Green. And since then, I've had time and some therapy to reflect on what I said, and I'd like to add to it.
Oh, so this is a part 2. Well, reflect on what you said after therapy. Uh-oh.
At that time, I made the comparison that the journey to equality is like climbing a never-ending mountain.
Yeah.
And I think that may be a slightly flawed analogy.
Okay, well, if you talk to any equality advocate, DEI consultant, etc., they would agree with you, because if you can ever reach the goal, there's no more paycheck. It has to be a never-ending pursuit. Otherwise, you can't justify basically your existence in most of these areas. But okay, you thought the analogy on reflection is flawed. Why?
So I'd like to try to come up with a new one today.
Okay.
When I was preparing for this talk, I thought back to my first discussion that I can remember about race. And it was in kindergarten when my teacher passed out M&Ms and talked about how the M&Ms are different colors on the outside, but on the inside, they're all the same.
Yeah, okay, that's kindergarten level, trying to set aside surface features as meaning anything in particular. Okay, can you guys hear this okay, even a little bit? Let me know in the chat if this is too quiet, like if you can't even enjoy this the way it is. I mean, I can hear it, but it's not obviously boosted, and I would have done so otherwise if I'd actually planned on this. So if it's too terrible, let me know, and maybe I'll save this for another time, and I'll boost the audio in the meantime. Quick, did Scribe tackle this guy before his first talk? No. I don't know what you mean, Zeke Weiss. Okay. You guys can hear it. Okay, I'll let it run, and I'll try not to mutter too much to block out what he's saying. Sorry, hit the button.
And that people are just the same. On the outside, we may be different colors, we may come from different places, but we're all sweet on the inside.
Yes.
And it was a really nice message. It was an easy rule to give to a 6-year-old.
Yes.
Treat everybody the same.
That is purportedly the idea. Holy cats! Thank you, Keldrig, if it'll come up here on StreamYards. Thank you, Keldrig. We're all black on the inside. Got it. I wondered if he was gonna draw a line to that one, but we're all sweet on the inside. You see, Keldrig. No, we're all sweet. We're all sweet. We all contain that that enzyme that makes you feel good in your brain or whatever. But yes, we're all brown. We're all equally brown on the inside, I guess. Thank you, Keldrig. All right. So, what was wrong with that analogy, or why is that flawed?
The next year, my family went to Germany, and I had the opportunity to study in a German school for a year. It was a great experience in a lot of ways, but it was a really difficult experience in other ways. Every day I went to a building where most people didn't understand me and I didn't understand them. And so if I had been treated exactly like all of the other kids, I wouldn't have known what was going on. And it was sort of the first glimpse that the M&Ms, we looked very similar. My clothes were a little different. I walked kind of weird, but you know, I was basically like everybody else, except I was American. So I didn't understand what was going on. I was a peanut M&M or something.
You have already missed the point of the M&M analogy. Language barrier. It's okay. Not using skin color or surface level elements of someone to judge their character or their worth. That is the lesson. Someone knowing you don't speak the language, in this case, to sort of draw out the analogy, would be whether or not your inability to communicate clearly because you don't understand the language is someone going to judge you harshly for something you don't have a lot of control over, right? Same lesson, different element. That you're not a peanut M&M. Who did this to you? Did your therapist do this to you? Did someone shame you? Thank you, Frank Hubbard. The point wasn't we all taste the same. Okay. The only person here who can really speak to that is Cannibalistic Wizard. And I really don't want to know the details. All right, dude. Well, you're already failing yourself and your own analogy. But okay.
And so that was a really isolating experience
Sure.
until I had some friends who helped me out, helped me to learn German, and now I'm mostly fluent at a 6-year-old level. I can talk about all the playground things.
Great. And there you go. They didn't reject you because of something you had no control over. Same lesson as the M&Ms. Why isn't that still a good analogy? What are you talking about?
And I realized that I needed to be treated differently because things were different there. And at 6, I didn't have a full appreciation for everything that was different. But one of the things that I remember being distinctly different was the way that they handled the Holocaust.
Oh, boy. Okay. Yes, tell me how they handled the Holocaust in modern Germany.
And their national tragedies.
Uh-huh.
And I remember going to the death camps, and I remember seeing the burn pits and the piles of shoes, and I remember reading and hearing about the stories of the people who had been there.
Yeah.
And so when I came back to the US, it was clear that things were different here again.
Really? You don't say. You go to a foreign country and then come back, and it's different here. But this concerns the Holocaust. Okay, do tell.
And I was still young, so I didn't understand. But we had clearly not acknowledged what we had done as a nation in the same way that they had.
Okay, let's see. Are we going to be talking about Japanese internment, Native American conflicts, slavery? What are we going at now? What guilt trip are you assuming for the entire nation onto your shoulders?
And so for a long time, I didn't like that, and I just thought, I'm going to leave the US, I'm going to go to Europe, and that was my plan.
Didn't like what? Okay, you have to explain what you're talking about.
And I thought of it kind of, I was thinking about things that you leave and things that you don't leave. There are things that you can leave like a job.
What?
I'm a business major, so that was kind of how I thought of it, right? It was a job that I could quit if I wanted and go elsewhere. And I've thought about it more, and I think that there are other things that you can't leave,
What?
like family.
What are you? As my friends across the pond might say, what are you on about? All right.
And the US it's messy, but my relationship with it is a lot more like my relationship with family than it is like my relationship with a job.
What?
In that the US has given me a lot. It has given me many opportunities. It has given me strengths. And I feel really fortunate in that. And so to just walk away feels wrong.
We'll, if you really feel this conflicted over it, we'll do fine without you. Please explain yourself.
The US is like a family in other ways, in that when there's a problem in the family, if we want to solve the problem, we have to get together and agree that there is a problem, right? And that requires a level of criticism. There's a lot of emphasis on love and support these days. And I think a phrase that we don't hear often enough is love and criticism.
Okay. I can agree with a little bit of that, as in, being able to critique something without it being inherently taken as a, lancet of hatred going into somebody's heart. Constructive criticism, disagreeing but still parting as friends, etc. If that's where you're going, then I guess I'm on your side so far, maybe.
Right? Because when you love something, sometimes you do have to criticize it to make it better, to make it the best that it can be.
Yes.
This country has been great for me, in large part because I am a white man.
Okay, well, going to the bingo card. Circling privilege, because that's implied both in the talk and in the title as well. Circling free space. Childhood to family anecdote, circling that one. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, that's implied as well through his language barrier experience. Let's see. Collectivize his own demographic. I am a white male. Yeah, okay. Or I'm a white man. Okay, circling that one. As though that means anything. Can't wait to hear that. Plays victim. Yeah, a little bit. And at the same time, also self-vilification or wretchedness. I can circle that one too, because we're already on the cusp of that, if not already. Let's see. Microaggressions, unconscious bias. Not yet. Contradicts on point or argument. Not quite sure what it is yet. Patriarchy, no. Weightless example. I don't know yet. Wage gap, no. Feminism, no. Marginalization is, again, with the language barrier. I kind of put him in that category. A list, no. White supremacy, it's probably coming if it's not already here. Word salad. I'm going to wait on that one a minute. Argumentative non sequitur, I don't know. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase, no. Mind reading assumes motives. We'll see. Benevolent condescension. Yeah, America's messed up somehow, I guess. I don't know. Anecdote that probably never happened. Not so far. Leaves out vital context. His argument, but maybe we're getting to it now.
And so my struggle moving forward is not leaving and going to a place where everybody else looks like me, but making this place as great for me and for everybody as it can be.
Oh, you're such a hero. You are such a hero. Right. And how do you propose to do that? What are you doing to critique this country beyond, Twitter or voting?
So that learning to love and criticize is something that I had to go to therapy for.
Really? I'm sorry that you had to go to therapy to learn that. Because, yeah.
Right. And part of that was addressing the isolation that I felt in Germany and a lot of my other issues. But I learned in therapy how to treat myself with dignity and respect.
Really? Because you just denigrated yourself by relegating yourself down to your race and your gender. So are you sure about that? This whole self-vilification or wretchedness part, which is true. Okay.
Not all the time, I still struggle, but that was one of the important things that I took away.
Uh-huh.
And in learning to treat myself with dignity and respect, I learned that it's important to treat everybody else with dignity and respect as well.
So prior to this, you were treating everybody with, what, disdain and hatred? Somehow I don't think that's the case.
And that means sometimes treating people differently.
Yes, because everybody's an individual. Okay, simply treating someone differently is not a refutation of the idea behind the M&M analogy. Okay? It's a matter of assessing, categorizing, judging, qualifying someone on the basis of things that have nothing to say about who they are. That's the issue. I think you've found yourself way off base here, my friend.
There are cultures in which the thumbs up is not a good sign.
Oh,
Giving
Jesus.
people peace signs is offensive.
Yeah.
Smiles do not even mean the same thing everywhere.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, there are cultural differences. Okay, so are you going to walk on eggshells around everybody and everything on the off chance that some move you might make might be misinterpreted by another culture? How do you operate in real life with that kind of hesitation, that kind of imposed anxiety on yourself? Good gravy.
And so making sure that we are aware of the differences among us is going to be key in moving forward with equality.
The differences... It's looking beyond the irrelevant differences. Irrelevant differences.
So I started by saying I think the mountain may be a poor analogy.
You did say that, yes. The mountain to equality can never be reached or summited or whatever. Right, you did say that.
And I think the trouble with mountains and races and journeys is that it gives the idea that we're going to summit a peak, we're going to cross a finish line, we're going to arrive at a place, and equality will be there.
Yeah, we can never hope to get there. It's always going to be a never-ending journey. Yes, yeah, striving for perfection. In order to form a more perfect union. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a misconception because equality is something that we're going to have to constantly be working for.
Right.
A business concept that I have learned about recently is quality, and it's something that I'm obsessed with. I love it.
Really? Why isn't your shirt tucked in?
I am focused on quality in every aspect of business, but quality is it's not something that you can set it and forget it. It's something that you have to be constantly working towards and making sure that it is happening all the time. And I think equality is exactly the same.
Uh-huh.
One key difference that is important to acknowledge is one goal of quality is making sure that most things are the same most of the time. And the goal of equality is recognizing all of the amazing differences between us.
No, it's looking past the irrelevant differences and assessing people on who they are, on what they can do. You know, I think you need a refund from your therapist. It doesn't sound like you've really made a whole lot of progress, but maybe that's just me.
So if I could leave you with some thoughts today, it would be to treat everyone with dignity and respect.
What if I don't like them? What if they're a jerk? Would you want me to treat Charles Manson the same way that I would, my own sister? I don't think so. No. I take people on their merits. I don't have to respect somebody who doesn't deserve my respect. Beyond the basics of simple humanity. So, no, I'm not going to just respect everybody off the bat because they exist. I'd have to know who they are first. I can respect them up to the point where I find out that they're a jerk, but
To minimize the people who are not treating us with dignity and respect.
To minimize the people. I mean, yeah, it depends on the circumstances, I suppose.
To recognize that treating everyone with dignity and respect does not mean treating everyone the same.
Yeah, okay.
And go to therapy.
No.
Thank you.
Good gravy. Okay, so that was The Color of Privilege, a Shade Clearer, whatever the heck that was supposed to be. Boy, 3 for 3 tonight, guys. I don't know. This might be a record. This might be a record. 3 different TEDx's, all of them with different titles that promise something, and all of them not really delivering anything of substance. Okay, well, there's where I have the card, as it is. I'll go over it one more time here. Systemic institutional. He talked about the country and fixing it, and that's changing things and critiquing this, that, and the other, and I guess that's something systemic. Sales pitch for product or service. He talked about he has a business degree and everything, but he didn't actually talk about a specific product or service. I'll actually go to therapy. You know what? I'm circling that for go to therapy because he did. He just says go to therapy. That was his sales pitch. That entire thing was a sales pitch for going to therapy. Okay.
Bingo.
What?
Of course!
There you go. We got a bingo. Microaggressions, unconscious bias. Yeah, he was talking about treating everybody with, differently or that respect and otherwise, and making assumptions of people and so on. So yeah, I'm circling that one. Contradicts own point or argument. He completely missed what the whole Eminem analogy was about. He brings it up. It's a good analogy, but then he whiffs completely on what it was supposed to say. So, yeah, circling that one. Patriarchy. Well, you did talk about, I'm a white male. I don't know. Is that enough? Is that enough for patriarchy? It's a bingo square, so I'm hesitant. You guys tell me. Weightless example. Yeah, not being able to speak German. That suddenly didn't make you, you're trying to equate that to what? Or even the Holocaust. What did that have? I'll take it back. The Holocaust thing. What did that have to do with anything? Actually, that's argumentative non sequitur. Yeah, so I'm going to circle argumentative non sequitur for the Holocaust thing and weightless example for not being able to speak the language when then people helped you speak the language and then you made friends. So that neither had anything to do with the other. What? Wage gap? No. Feminism? No. A list? No. White supremacy. Talked about the Holocaust. So you can't really talk about the Holocaust without also the implication thereof. So I'll circle that one, sure. Word salad. Yeah. Most of what he was talking about. Didn't say anything. Didn't clarify anything. So, yeah.
Won't somebody please?
Bingo. BINGO.
Okay!
Right?
So our second bingo. A list. No. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase. No. Mind reading assumes motives. I mean, oh, maybe my mind is fuzzy now. I can't think that he technically did. I'll take arguments elsewise. Anecdote that probably never happened. No, I can believe everything you said as far as his anecdotes. Leaves out vital context. The color of privilege. I don't even know what his talk was supposed to be about. Treat everybody with respect? Is that it? Well, you were treated with respect. You know, the kids in your German class helped you learn German so you could then... Okay, I'm going to stop there because my brain is a little addled right now from 3 different TEDx's and no answers. So if you have any arguments for squares to be circled in this final, third TEDx of the night, please put them in chat now. There's definitely room for another couple of bingos here with a couple of good arguments, so I'll take that. Let's see. Yvonne Solomon, I feel like he kind of assumes that we all feel the same way about the U.S. I don't know where he was going with that. You know, I went to Germany and I saw the death camps of the Holocaust, and I come back America and we don't, you know, take responsibility for what we've done or what our part was. And I'm like, part in what? What are you talking about? I don't know. Did he even have a point to contradict? I don't know. I don't think so. I really don't think so. Bridget, patriarchy and self-vilification. You think so with the whole white male thing? Yeah, okay. I'll be a bit of a soft touch tonight on that one. I'll accept it. I'll accept it. Why not?
Ooh, that's a bingo!
Right?
Yeah!
So our third bingo. Any other arguments for squares to be circled? Let's see. Zan Wild. Hola, I am so late. Oh, well, watching from the beginning. Oh, well, you're in for a treat, Zan, because you're going to have a triple threat tonight. Let's see. Frank Hubbard, heading to work. Have a good night all. Bye, Frank. This TED Talk was his therapy. So, yeah, this was another one of those where it's like we're watching someone basically articulating their own thoughts on stage. This is a look into their brain. Zeke 5, so this whole talk can be summed up as don't be a dick. I guess, I suppose, more or less, kind of. Dax Orion, to quote Hammerlock to all the speakers tonight, every time they open their mouths, I feel my brain cells committing suicide one by one. Yeah, okay. You know, like I said, I picked out the first one because I legitimately wanted to hear an argument. This wasn't like some kind of gimmick. I was like, I'm going to actually look up something that'll hopefully teach me something. And then the second one was just goofy high school kid. And this third one was, I don't know, racially guilty, depressed college student or something. I don't know. It's silly. Chicago Mike leaves out vital. I still don't know what he was talking about. Yeah, you know what? You're right. You are absolutely right. He went all over the place and nowhere all at once. And actually, as a consequence of that, I don't know. If you can believe it.
I had a dog, and his name was...
What?
I had a dog, and his name was...
Bingo!
Of course!
Give me a
Bingo.
silly. One
Bingo.
only, please.
Right?
Yeah!
A double bingo! Diagonal and down. Oh my gosh. You know, this might have been the second worst TEDx of the night, but he's got the most bingos. What does that tell you? I don't know. But yes, Dax Orion is correct. None of these people had nothing to say. Nothing, yeah. Absolutely nothing. What's in the box, Weaver? Okay. Guys, my brain is decidedly off the ranch at this stage of the game. Not only from the Pepper Jack, but also from count 'em, 3 TEDx's where nothing was accomplished, nothing was learned, and no one knows how to present an argument somehow. 3 different people, 3 different parts of the world, nothing. Okay. Even when I try to find something that is purportedly, legitimately educational and informative, still coming up snake eyes, because I'm just lucky like that. Either way, everyone, thank you so much for joining me for the slightly extended TED Excellence and triple feature, unplanned, but there you go. Who knows what I'll do next week? But oncoming, the Sunday stream at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, this coming Sunday, the Sunday stream, where I will do a thing on a thing. Also, if you'd like, follow my Substack. I have a Substack newsletter/blog thing now that I occasionally will be updating. It's called A Curriculum of Fear. I'll be focusing primarily, if you can tell, on educational stories. Some that are derived from what I see here, maybe some from elsewhere. We shall see. Beyond that, I can't think of anything else because I'm all over the place, and honestly, I'm a little tired. So I'm going to call it here. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things. Even though everyone here is so well behaved, you have very little to do. Everybody who donated either to myself or to the GoFundMe's pinned to the top of the chat box, thank you so much for your generosity. I really do appreciate it. Hope you all enjoyed this impromptu triple feature. We didn't learn anything except what a very bad presentation looks and sounds like. Maybe that's something. I don't know. I'll have to think about it in therapy. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Hope you all have a good rest of your week and weekend oncoming. I hope you stay cool, those of you out there who are overheated, because I know a lot of you are. And I hope you are all safe and well. If you are not well, please get well soon. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.